Welcome to Spoil Your Baby podcast. I'm Dr. Greer Kirshenbaum, and I'm here with my co-host, Dr. Rocio Zunini. Today, we're discussing a topic that affects many, many families that we know and that we work with, which is having other caregivers be part of your baby's life and building support systems for babies.
Yeah, this is such a vital topic because or many parents need to leave their baby with other caregivers. And at the same time, many parents struggle, with anxiety about it, with guilt. So we're going to talk about it today.
Yeah, and I think it's so important for everyone to know that this approach to parenting your baby, spoiling your baby, it doesn't mean that you take 3 years off of work or you're with your baby for 3 entire years. That might be the case for some people, and some people thrive under those circumstances. But we're never saying that. We're never saying that that's what needs to be done, right? Rocio, you and I both had nannies and daycare as part of our own children's lives, and we don't feel guilt or anxiety about it. I don't,
No.
anyway.
Oh, no, I don't. But at the same time, there are certain things to take into account, right? When we're going to choose them.
Yes, exactly.
And then there are myths out there too. So we're going to talk about those.
Yeah, I was so shocked getting, starting all this work 10 or so years ago. And people would say, in Canada, people typically have 12 months off work. They take 12-month maternity leave. Now there's paternity leave too, which is great. And they can split it up. But it's typically 12 months. And people would say to me, okay, my baby's 12 months. So they're going to go to daycare. So I'm going to stop breastfeeding. I'm going to sleep train them. And I'm going to detach myself from them so that they just, I'm going to hold them less. I'm going to play with them less. I'm just going to slow down our relationship, detach from the relationship because they're going to daycare. So they have to be prepared. Right?
Yeah. So,
have you heard this?
Oh, yes. Here too is the same. I live in Spain. And I lived in Canada as well. And yeah, this is very pervasive, right? Oh, prepare them for daycare. Oh, they had to be ready. Oh, how are they going to cope otherwise? So tell us, Greer, should parents be doing these things?
Absolutely no. It's a definitive no. It's almost just the complete opposite of no. So if your baby is going to start spending time with a nanny or going to daycare or a family member, it makes that nurturing time with you even more important. If you're not ready to stop breastfeeding, keep going. That connection first thing in the morning, on reunion, throughout the night is deeply, deeply important to your baby's development, right? We always are thinking about bathing our babies and ourselves in as much oxytocin and connection and love and care as possible. So I would say keep breastfeeding, keep that relationship so warm, so nurturing and responsive when you're with them, because regardless of how many hours you're spending in a day, any time spent together is so beneficial for your baby and their developing brain.
Yeah, absolutely. And then really it's all about attachment, right? What we really had to have take into account here is that the baby is going to have your attachment with you, which you are the primary caregiver. And like this, they develop internal working models of how a relationship works. They learn that they can count on getting their needs met by their attachment figure. The relationships are safe and nurturing. And so this is what we want the nanny or the daycare to also do, right? So they are going to have the attachment relationship with you. And what we want is for them to form a similar attachment relationship with the daycare provider or the nanny. They are not going to be primary caregivers, but they are going to be important attachment figures during those in that period, right?
Absolutely. And when we are just continuing our nurturing approach and that relationship, it really helps them to be more adaptable to these situations. Because if you listen to our last episode, when we are nurturing and responsive, we're building their stress system. to be really strong as possible, and robust and resilient as possible. So they're able to handle transitions. They're able to handle change. And we're really filling up their tank, right? With our love and our care. So it's important. They're more free to explore. They're more free to enter these new relationships. So it's very, very important to do that, right?
Exactly. And so let's talk a little bit about practical aspects of transitioning to new caregivers. Everybody wants to know, so how do I do this then?
Yeah. Well, I think it's a couple of years ago, Ruth Feldman's lab came out with just a really cool paper, really showing us that scent, and so mostly the mother's scent, has a really incredible role on helping babies connect with a new caregiver. It's very, very cool. So in the study, they had the mother's scent present. So I think it was a t-shirt that the mother had worn that was present when the baby was meeting a new caregiver. And the other groups didn't have the mother's scent present. And they looked at how the baby and the caregiver were synchronizing their relationship. And it was much more, much less stressful and much more easygoing for the baby to connect to a new caregiver when their mother's scent was present, which is just very cool.
Yeah, I was fascinated by it because you could see the changes or the difference at the brain level, like with interbrain synchrony, and as well in the behavior of the babies. They display more safety.
Yep.
And so how can parents use this information practically?
That's such a good tip. So, with my son, the first person who took care of him was a nanny in our home. And your scent is already in your home. So you actually really don't have to do much, right? If they're spending time there. So that's great. But if your baby is going somewhere else, if they're going to a daycare or to another location, you can send them with your scent. So you could sleep maybe with the t-shirt they're going to wear the next day, like put it in your armpits or, under your bra or something for a period of time, sleep with it. So your natural scent gets transferred to it. And then you could dress your baby in that shirt or, give them a stuffed animal or something with your scent on it. And you'll know that that's just going to make the situation a lot easier for your baby and for the caregiver to adapt.
Mm-hmm. And then there could be other strategies too, right, Greer?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like, emotional referencing, right? Do you want to tell us a bit about that?
Yeah. So this is when babies look to mom or dad for emotional information about new situations and people. So this is why we recommend spending time if there's going to be a new nanny, for example, coming to your home, spend time with this nanny and your baby together. This is actually what I did both times with both my children. And yeah, so for like 1 week, this is with my 11-year-old now, and just reminiscing, oh my God, it's so long ago. But yeah, Maria was his nanny, and she came for a whole week, and I was there the whole time, and we had an amazing time. We laughed, we drank coffee, we played, the three of us, and it was just an amazing way to transition him to this new person that he started to get to know.
Yeah, I did the exact same thing.
Oh yeah.
Our babies want to see that reference. Like they're always looking like what, how is mom reacting to the situation, mom or dad, whoever's doing it. And I did the exact same thing we had Kate and Gabby, and I genuinely had so much warmth and so much, beautiful friendship with them. And my son could see it. Like you said, we laughed together. We, touched each other gently. We, just showed my son that they're safe. Mom trusts them. They're good. They're good with mom. They're good with me. Basically, is the message, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
But then there's the daycare situation.
Yes.
What about those situations?
Yeah, parents often come to me with this question, like, what's the best way, to have care, right? And some people believe that myth that babies have to go to daycare to socialize and for social development, right? And so I usually will say, pick the form of daycare with the lowest ratio you can afford.
Yes.
So if you can afford that nanny coming to your home, choose that. For me at the time,
Yes.
it was affordable because I was only working part-time. It was only, 15 or 20 hours a week, something like that. If you can afford that, go for that. If it's a nanny share, so it's 2 babies and 1 nanny, go for that. If it's a home daycare for a ratio of 4 babies to 1 caregiver, go for that, right? And if it's a daycare, which, also have a range of ratios. So my son went to one that was 1 to 4 up to 18 months. And then I think it went up to maybe 6 or 7, 1 to 6 or 7 as he got older. That's important too, right? And so let's just be real. Most people have no choice. Most people, it's the big daycare that they can afford or that they can happen to get into because we know how difficult it is all around the world to get childcare. And that's okay too, right? Sometimes we have a choice. We put that out there for people who do, and sometimes we don't. And we're all going to be okay regardless, right?
Yes.
So in the daycare, we want to do, as much of that. We can use our scent, absolutely, especially for sending a blanket for naps or, dressing the kid in our scent as well. We can absolutely do that. And when we're transitioning the baby in, we want to add that social referencing as much as we can. And so some daycares will allow you to do a beautiful transition. I was exposed to this in my son's early life as well. We went to many that had beautiful long transitions where you were able to be there. You were able to do that social referencing. Your baby could see you interacting with the teachers, showing them that the space is safe, that the people were safe, that everything was great. And some have something in the middle, and some will have something almost non-existent. And in that case, you still want to use social referencing when you're doing drop-offs and pickup. And so, make some jokes with the caregiver, do your best there, right? To show your child, I trust everyone here. These are all safe people for mom or dad, and you can trust them too.
And then we can also give, some tips about what to look for when we're looking for a caregiver or a daycare. Let's go through some tips of what exactly is the where we should look for, Greer.
Yeah. I mean, that transition would be great. I would say that's one great thing to have. On top of that, I would make suggestions at my son's daycare that he would always have a number 1, right? When he was little, actually, he didn't start till he was 2. So the baby room was quite old actually in relation, but he had one person in the early days when he was 2. And so it was like, that was his person, right? It was easy for him to be soothed by them. Once he got into the bigger area, I would always say, can his favorite person be the one to receive him for the transition? And so that he would know, this is the person who holds my stress, who co-regulates me, who I trust with my feelings, right? So just having that that awareness of that, I think, is something to look for. And then, the others would be kind of asking open-ended questions, right? How do you respond to crying and distress? And we'd want a place that's going to offer proximity, co-regulation, sensitivity, right?
Yep. If we can get to see, I was going to say, just if we might be able to go see, right? If we go see the daycare and there is like the working hours, we can observe these things as well.
Yes, exactly. Be very observant. Yeah, we want places that are wanting to hold and comfort our babies, especially when they're scared, hurt, or just feeling the separation distress when we say goodbye, right? And who are just very open about communicating everything about our babies. They're not sugarcoating the situation, right? So the other thing I always will tell parents about is it does take time for the transitions to happen, for them to build those trusting relationships. And, beyond the first 2-3 weeks, we want to make sure that babies are getting into a relaxed parasympathetic state there, that they are eating, that they are drinking, that they are sleeping, that they are playing, that they are exploratory and curious. And they're not spending the day either in fight or flight, hitting, biting, tantruming, or in freeze, shut down, not exploring, not social, right? So
Yeah,
we need that genuine communication from the caregivers. Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. So I hope that this was a great kind of overview of this for everyone listening. Thank you for joining us today. This is one of the big topics that we go through with lots of parents. So I hope that it was helpful, and stay tuned for our next episode. We've got lots and lots of great episodes coming up. We also have our professional certification on offer right now. So you can go to my website, nurture-neuroscience.com, and check it out.
Bye, everybody.
Goodbye.